Right, hello there. Welcome to my Let's Learn the Track series on iRacing. This season, we're going to be covering the BMW 12.0 series, which is kindly sponsored by simrigs.com. So please check out their website in the video description. Now, videos will be published weekly to coincide with the track changeover, and the intention of this series is to help you gain back that lost time. So this isn't a place for hot laps, this is a slow, methodical approach to learn the track, showing you my braking markers and my reference points. And as always, please let me know in the comments if this helps and you've managed to gain any time. Thanks for watching. Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Let's Learn the Track BMW 12.0 edition from this place, the beautiful Lime Rock Park Grand Prix. Yes, Grand Prix, the one with the chicane, with the horrible little landmines. This series is sponsored by simrigs.com, so please have a look in the video description below at their website. Let's Learn the Track, what is it about? Well, it's essentially a track guide. I'm going to do a couple of slow laps. I'm going to show you what I use as my braking markers and reference points as we go around the circuit. Then we'll slowly pick up the pace and show you those in action. We're using iRacing default weather, which I will put on screen now, and we're using baseline setup. The session time is set to afternoon. I think it's around about 3 p.m, so that's as close as I can possibly get to match the official series this week. So anyway, enough waffling on, let's get on track. Right, so here we are then on pit lane at Lime Rock Park. Now, the first thing I like to do, first of all, is go to my in-car adjustments and lower my brake pressure bias. You can see there by default it's 56.9, but I have mine set around about 51.4. That seems to be a sweet spot for me in this car. Bear in mind, the lower the brake pressure bias, the better your car will stop. However, there's more braking force to the rear of the car. So if you are trail braking, it just makes the car likely to over-rotate. So you've got to be very mindful of that. So just play around with that and find the number that suits you. So in the bottom of the screen now, I'm using part of the overlay from RaceLab apps. The middle line, the grey line, is my steering inputs. The green is my throttle. And the red is my brake. So you'll be able to see there when I'm trail braking and how gently I'm accelerating out the turns. So, Lime Rock Park, pit exit. As always, as with every other circuit, it's sketchy. So, what I would suggest you do, F3 by default on your keyboard is the relative box. Put that on. If you have had to pit at Lime Rock Park this week, then you've either had a penalty that you haven't cleared or you've got damage, you've gone in for your fast repair. So as you're leaving the pits, keep an eye on your relative. If there's somebody coming by to lap you, just give them space, because this is pretty much the turning point for turn number 1 as you exit the pits. So talking to turn number 1, we'll talk about that next time by, but essentially you're in second gear, double apex really, and you're going to cut it back over this curb for the run down here. So braking markers, what we're going to use here, there's nothing really there, it's quite sparse. This turn, essentially, it's a very, very late apex turn because we need the car over to the left-hand side as we exit the turn. So what I like to use here, you can see these tyre marks that are constant. They're built into the textures on the sim. So toward the end of those tyre marks, that's when we're going to be braking. We're going to be down into second gear, and we're going to be braking in a straight line, and then turning in quite late, and then clipping this inside curb on the left hand side because we want the car right over here ideally for this right hand turn. So moving the car over to the left will open up this right hand turn. So second gear, I like to short shift to third just to prevent a bit of wheel spin. Don't hit the curb on the right. Use all of the track on exit for the run down to the dreaded chicanes. Now as we approach, we're going to be on the left hand side. And what we're going to use for braking markers here, well, thankfully there's a big dirty tyre mark in the middle of the circuit that we're going to use. So just before the tyre mark, we're going to be braking all the way down into first gear, and as we do, as we approach, we're going to be moving the car over to the left and getting your left wheels on this curb, because you want it turning quite late for this one, because you want to try and straight line this as best you can. Don't hit these red landmines. We're going to shift to second as we're going up the hill, and then we're going to be straight lining this as best we can down for this, probably the trickiest turn on the circuit, this one for me. Again, this one's quite sparse with regards to what we're going to use as braking markers, but there's a couple of shadows that we can use there, but I do know that shadows move in iRacing. So there's this first shadow, and then there's the second shadow, so it's the second one that we're going to be looking at. And if you look directly left from the shadow, you can see this smaller tree there. I don't know if you can see it with my mouse cursor. So if this shadow does disappear, then you can keep an eye on this smaller tree. So there's the tree trunk there, and then there's the smaller tree. You can just pick it out. So you can take your pick, either look at that tree trunk or this tree or that shadow. So there's braking markers, turning markers for this tricky right turn. So we're going to be in third gear. We're going to be braking and turning in. Whatever you do, don't go over this curb, because as you can see, it's a bit harsh, that one. It will unsettle the car. Then power down the hill. We're going to be in fourth gear, and as soon as the car is in the dip, that's going to be our turning point here. So get the car as far over to the left as you possibly can, but it's really easy just to creep over a little bit too much on there and get a couple of wheels on the grass. So as soon as the car's in the dip, we're going to be lifting or braking a tiny bit just to get the car to start rotating towards the apex. Fourth gear, the car will be a little bit loose, but there is quite a bit of downforce there at that point, so you can manage it quite well. And then the run down to turn number one. So what I like to use here is the numbers on the left hand side. So between the 3 and the 2, depending on how good you are, you can push it closer towards the 2. And we're going to be aiming for this first apex on the right. Now I treat this as a double apex turn. So I go for the first apex, let the car drift out wide, and then cut it back over the curb for the second one. That'll be more evident when we're on a flying lap. So we're going to be down into second gear, clip that first apex, let the car drift out wide, just get trail braking just to get the car back, then over this curb, because you want the car in the centre of the circuit, looking for those tyre marks. And then we're going to be turning in late over this curb. I like to short shift to third at that point, use all of the track for the run down to the chicane. We're looking for that tyre mark, remember? So just before the tyre mark, we're going to be down into first gear, turning quite late, then accelerate halfway up the hill, shift to second, clip that curb a little bit, looking for that shadow or that tree. There it is. So we're braking, get on the gas at the apex or just before if we can, up to fourth, and as soon as we're in the dip, we're going to be turning, get as close to that curb as you possibly can without touching it, and then up to fifth gear. So it'll take a few laps here for the tyres to get up to temperature, because it's only a short lap. So between the 3 and the 2, we're going to be braking down into second gear, hit the first apex, let the car run out wide, and then bring it back over the curb for the second one, looking for those tyre marks. There they are. So at the end of those, we're going to be braking, straight line, then cut the car back over the curb to open up this right hand turn. So short shift to third, then all the way down again to the chicane. So at the tyre mark, we're going to be braking down into first gear, accelerate up the hill, short shift to second, looking for those trees, looking for the tree trunk. There it is. So braking there, so accelerate at the apex or just before, so get the car in the dip, and then we're going to turn, don't touch the curb on the right, then power down to turn number one. So as you can see, the tyre pressures still aren't right up there yet, so braking, don't touch the grass like I did there, I wasn't paying attention. So get the car over the curb on exit, up to third, at the end of the tyre marks, down into second, cut it back for this apex, short shift to third, don't touch the curb on the right, use all of the track on exit, looking for the tyre mark, there it is. So just before, down into first gear, tyres are still really cold, short shift to third, second sorry, looking for the shadow, there it is. iRacing uses default weather and dynamic sky, I believe. Dynamic sky, so the clouds and sun will change, so the shadows will move. So in between the 3 and the 2, so we're braking down into second gear. So cut it back for the second apex. Up to third gear, looking for the tyre marks. There they are. Braking, trail brake, get the car back over this apex. Short shift to third. Use all of the track. Looking for the tyre mark. There it is. Down to first gear. Accelerate up the hill. Short shift to second. Over that curb. Looking for the shadow. Keep it in third gear. As close as you possibly can without touching it. Same with this next turn. As soon as we're in the dip, we're going to be turning in. Car is a bit loose. As you can see, I did have to lift there. You can't take that flat. So let's try and pick up the pace a little bit now. So down into second gear. Put it back over this curb. Maybe not that much. That compromises your exit. Look at the tyre mark. There it is, down into first gear. Accelerate up the hill. Shift to second. Right, hopefully for the next lap we'll be able to pick up the pace a little bit. So mid 49s should be a respectable lap around Lime Rock. I would imagine mid to late 49s. Well, the faster guys are going to be low 49s, I would guess. So double apex, get it back for the second one. Third gear, then look for the tyre marks. Down into second. Get the car back over this curb. Because you want the car over to the left to open up this right. Accelerate up the hill. Just a second. Looking for the shadows on the left hand side there. There they are. Then as soon as we're in the dip, we're going to be turning in, get on the gas. I just kept it on the circuit there. So what time's that? That is a 49.782. There's definitely a lot more time there to be had. But the things you need to bear in mind are the curbs here at Lime Rock. There's only a couple of them that you can clip, namely that right one that we just passed, the one on the right, and then the one on the left here. The rest of them stay clear of the curbs at Lime Rock because they are a killer, especially these little red landmines at the bottom of the hill. But there we go, that's Lime Rock. So there we go, that's this week's Let's Learn the Track done at Lime Rock. I can imagine what it's going to be like. I don't think I'm going to be racing this one for some reason. But let me know in the comments how you get on and if this does help. So this is the last Let's Learn the Track for me for the BMW 12 series. It's week 12. Hopefully they've all been helpful to in one way or another. Hopefully you've managed to extract something from the shoddy track guides. I want to say thank you to simrigs.com for sponsoring this series. Please have a look in the video description of their website. Really, really, really nice guys. Sell all kinds of sim related equipment. So please go and check them out. So anyway, that's it. Season done. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, everyone. Catch you later. Cheers.